A big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity. This is a special showing with me, Sonali Krishna. As you can see, we're not in the studio today, but today I am surrounded by men who have achieved, par excellence for each of their organizations. This is the BrandZ rankings by Kantar, and we're doing a roundtable with the CXOs here who are responsible for kind of achieving and sustaining this mammoth task. But I'm going to start, of course, with the Kantar MD South Asia, Dipinder Rana, to give a sense to my audience on the BrandZ rankings and how you actually compute it. And of course, the three men on my panel. I get a lot of flack when I have only men on the panel, but what do I do? They call it a manel. But do introduce each of them and their rankings and why, and then I'll take that forward.
Sure. So just on the rankings, it's about proving that brands bring a lot of value and they finally create shareholder returns. So building a brand, investing in a brand, a strong brand equity does two things. During good times, you grow your shareholder value faster than others. And then during bad times, it sort of prevents, it acts as a cushion, right? And if you look at the global top 100, or in general top brands, about 30% of their valuation, of their total market capitalization, can be attributed to intangible brand value. So that's what we measure. So there's a financial value aspect, but what is unique about the Kantar rankings is that we interview the consumers and customers, right? So it's actually to marry the opinion of and how much demand these brands are creating, how much brand power they have, marry it with their financial valuation, and then come up with the value and the rankings.
Well, thank you for your insight. So just to give you some sense of the three gentlemen, apart from, of course, Rana, who's the man behind these rankings along with his team, are very, very good established legacy brands. And today we're going to talk about strong established legacy brands. So at number 11, we have Reliance Retail and Damodar Mal, who is the CEO of the grocery part of the business, is responsible for coming at number 11. And I believe there's a phenomenal growth rate if you compare it to last season's BrandZ rating. So many congratulations, Damodar. At number 2 and sustaining that position for a while is HDFC Bank. No surprises there. And we have Ravi Santanam, the group head and the CMO of HDFC Bank. Many congratulations, Ravi. And at number 1, again here holding steadily the position of the leader of the pack is TCS, and we have Abhinav Kumar, who's graced us all the way from Belgium to come here and grace us with this conversation. He is the global CMO of TCS. Many congratulations, Abhinav.
Thank you, Sonali.
So the conversation today is not about brands who are aspiring to build market share, market penetration, and looking at growing their entire companies as they climb the ladder. We're talking about companies who have done the hard work. They're legacy brands. They're strong. They're established, and they've gained consumer trust over decades. The question is, when you're on top, how do you manage to keep being on top? And that is a far harder challenge than, let's say, when you're trying to climb the ladder. And we pay too much attention and we applaud everybody who's trying to climb the ladder these days a lot more than people, for example, on this panel who have managed that and continue to do so silently. So I'll start with you, Abhinav. It's been a while where you have maintained these rankings. Also, you are a B2B kind of player, right? Unlike the other two brands on this panel. And I know that you undertake a lot of interesting initiatives to ensure you're top of mind with the last mile consumer. How hard is it to keep innovating for a brand that is not catering to me directly?
So thank you, Sonali. It's a great honor to be here to represent the 6 lakhs TCSers. So congratulations to all of them for this achievement. I'll give you a short answer and I'll give you a slightly longer answer. You just called us all legacy brands. I think one way, we don't think of ourselves that way. We always think we're in startup mode. So the one way I think a brand does well is that you always look to stay relevant, always stay hungry, always look to see what more can you do for the consumer? That's the short answer. In the longer term, at TCS, we're big fans of marathons. So we're one of the biggest supporters of marathon events across the world. We have 15 such properties now. There was the TCS Sydney Marathon, which just took place this weekend, but we support many of the iconic events like TCS New York Marathon, the TCS London Marathon, and many others. And we draw a lot of inspiration from marathons, even in how we do business and how we run our brand. And in many ways, building a brand is some of the things which you were saying earlier. It is like a marathon. It is about the long term. It's about being consistent. It's about being disciplined. It's about having an end goal in mind, but knowing it's a long way off, and therefore you need to pace yourself and build all the things. A quick stat for you. An average marathon runner takes probably between 50 to 60,000 steps to complete a marathon, right? If you look at a great brand, we have HDFC, Reliance here. I have the privilege to represent TCS, and many others who are listed in Kantar's list. If you look at them, they've also done some 50 or 60,000 different things which step by step have built their brands. For us, if you look at it, what's at the core of our brand are 2 or 3 things. First is an absolute focus on customers. So for the last 11 years in a row, we've been adjudged as the #1 brand in terms of customer satisfaction by an analyst firm called Whitelane in Europe. And it's kind of really the heart of where the company is, that if you're always staying relevant to your consumers, even if you work with them, many of our customers we work with for 20 years, 30 years, right? But you can't let lethargy come into it. So you're always looking to see what more can we do for the customer. That's critical. Second thing is to consistently innovate. We're looking to do that. To give you an example, if you look at our industry, it's seeing a lot of new opportunity in places like artificial intelligence over the last year and a half. We've quickly pivoted our business. We built a new unit to combining our AI and cloud units. We've now retrained about 65% of our workforce on the basics of generative AI and are fast looking at that opportunity. And every time there's a new technology cycle, we look to continuously reinvent ourselves. Third is the more classical marketing thing, is you continuously invest in your brand. I spoke about our marathon sponsorships, but look, we need to be present, as you said, we're a B2B business. Our product is hard because it's invisible. It's the software, it's the services which are behind all the systems which enable many other great businesses. Unlike a car company, I can't show a great car and saying that's my product, right? So from that point of view, we need to make our brand experiential, but we also need to be present and build relationship with a lot of our B2B buyers all over the world. So we're present in major industry trade shows and the World Economic Forum and other places. And then, of course, the last frontier is the digital one. Over the last 10 or 15 years, it's become more and more important, whether it's social media or it's on the digital side, with the average human spending 7 hours a day on digital platforms. You got to go where your audiences are. And I think we've all pivoted in our strategies and engaging them more in the digital world as well.
Sure. Rana, before I come to these two gentlemen, one question. I believe from last year's Kantar BrandZ ratings, this year, the year-on-year growth number is 19%. Can you explain this high growth and where does this 19% come from?
Right. So it's in line with the global growth. Global growth is also 20%. So some of it is obviously financial valuation. So the Indian stock markets have been going well. But then within that, there are some brands which are doing a great job, and this lot represents that. Now, even within this lot, there are some brands which grow faster, right? So if you look at a 19% average, the brands which, and now I'm coming to kind of ingredients of brand building and what some brands do better than others, the brands which grew their meaning or their relevance, right? And Abhinav spoke about even, for TCS, they continue to have to innovate to remain relevant, right? And so do all these brands. So if you grow your relevance and your meaning, and you keep growing your differentiation, those brands, among the list of 75, those brands actually grew at 27%, right? So 19 is an average, right? And the average can be impacted by sector trends, some stock market trends, but irrespective of the category you are, you can excel. Like Reliance Retail is, not all retail brands have grown in value, but Reliance Retail has, right? So you can do that.
Coming to HDFC, you've been consistently on the BrandZ most valuable list, right? For I think 10 years now. holding the #1 spot for 7 years and now #2 for 2. It's a tall task to keep remaining on top. What do you think in a space like banking, right, which you represent, is holds you in good stead? You have equal competition in strong established banks in the banking sector, and of course you have newer players. But what is it that for an established brand like yours you need to keep doing to ensure consumer trust and consumer innovation?
The first thing is, I don't think we will be calling ourselves a legacy brand.
Nobody wants to be called a legacy brand. Everybody wants to be called a startup. Why is that?
No, I'm not saying that I'm a startup.
Okay.
What I'm saying is we are brands that have built a legacy.
Okay.
That's very different from being a legacy
Nice
brand.
one, Ravi. Nice one.
Okay, so how did the legacy got built? And it's also kind of answers your question, because when we look at it, we didn't look at it as a brand or a customer. Over a period of time, we have pivoted to what is called as the brand experience and now the customer experience. See, we are a unique combination where we have both products and services mixed together in the way in which we operate. We all know very clearly the day we sell a product, say for example a card or a loan, we don't make any money. Actually, we have taken a huge risk. The money is provided only when the customer stays with you for a long period of time, and that essentially makes sure that you actually look at the customer from a life cycle and a full lifetime value. And that's a big difference between an FMCG or a durables versus a service sector brand like us, where we sell a product and we also need to service to make the money. And we start with a negative on day zero, and we have to make it positive, means you need to service the customer well. So the pivot that we have done is, how do we actually now take the brand experience as well as the customer experience over a long period of time? How do we consistently deliver performance against expectations?
How do you do it?
It's purely about the fact, understanding the needs of the customers and being at it. And on a day in, day out basis, continuously scoring where we are, measuring where we are in terms of the expectation versus the reality, and modifying what we need to do to get there. If you look at it, ATMs were there, then phone banking, then internet banking, now chat banking, now digital. We need to pivot ourselves to make sure that our servicing engine continuously moves in that direction, the way in which the consumers are serviced. If you put that customer experience, consumer experience first, and then work backwards, tomorrow Gen AI will come, as Abhinav was talking about. How are we going to include that to ensure that the communication that we do is very personalized, very relevant, and how are we going to be present where the consumer is going to be present? If you take care of relevance and presence on a consistent basis, I think it should be good.
Ravi, just one question as a customer, right? As a lay customer. Isn't it a lot harder for me to change my bank if I'm unhappy than to, let's say, diss a retail player? Like, let's say if I'm unhappy with Reliance Retail, then I say I won't go there, I'll go somewhere else. It's so much easier. But with you, it's a much more calculated decision because it's painful to change my bank, to change my card. So do you think you have an inherent advantage because the barriers of change?
There is an inherent advantage, obviously, when it comes to your savings account.
Sure.
But when it comes to other loans or cards, you can just stop using the card, which is what people do if you do not service them well. Similarly, in the case of a loan, there are balance transfer options available. And see, the other competition is also extremely good, and we are also extremely good. If we need to make sure that you become our customer, we'll do everything for you to overcome that inertia. So it's all about making you happy and keeping you happy, because at the end of the day, people who actually shift are the most loyal customers. And if you're having difficulty in shifting, which means the kind of work that you have done with the bank actually encompasses a lot more product than one, then only you'll find it extremely difficult to shift. And losing that kind of a customer is the most worst thing to happen to a bank.
Sure.
So we need to be extremely careful about losing kind of customers like that.
Coming to Reliance Retail, Damodar, you've emerged as a top retail brand and one of the fastest risers in 2024. Give me a sense of the retail industry and how Reliance Retail in that crowded space has managed to stand out.
Brand ranking and measures come as a byproduct.
Sure.
I don't think it's part of our business plan to chase them, but we like them when they come. What we do is something that you alluded to. Inherent to the nature of the business, the customer has no entry barrier, no exit barrier. Therefore, we are less like a brand, more like people in reality. And I'll tell you how. For lasting brand value, you need sustained relationship. The analogy is marriage or a steady relationship. But I have to stay interesting all the time because there is no exit barrier as you
You're
as you
constantly
mentioned.
wooing.
Yeah, I'm constantly wooing. So I have to be dating ready, but marriage reliable. And we all know it's a very difficult thing to do. Yeah, I have to show up at the school bus also, and yet I have to be interesting in the evening. It's literally that at my store on SV Road in Mumbai, I could have a customer who is with me for 10 years, and I have to keep measuring how her behavior is. But in a store that I launched yesterday, literally, in a place called Namsai in Arunachal Pradesh, I am on probation. So it's a bit like people. It's a bit like people. I show up, you find me interesting. As a consumer, you give me a second look, and then you say maybe a coffee is possible. It's a low stake, one trial purchase that is given to you, and then you come back, and then we meet more often.
It's like a fling.
I'm moving.
He's moving up the relationship.
I'm moving. I have to be interesting. So we meet more often, etc. Over a period of time, the comfort gets established, and then we start behaving like we've settled down. And yet, someone, my competitor, in this case not HDFC, can always offer you another fling. I think that's the nature of retail. And the good part is, my primary medium of communication in this relationship is my brand. And the customer is spending a fair amount of time inside my brand, absorbing all that I have to say to her, probably outside the digital brands that all of us consume. In the physical real world, I'm the most high interaction and high quality interaction environment where the customer spends a lot of time inside the brand. If you do it again and again, and if you do it in Mumbai, and if you do it in Nagarcoil, and if you do it in 16,000 cities, then it so happens that people from Kantar start taking notice, and they find us a valuable brand. But we are living this like people each time and being relevant.
So while I love your analogy, Damodar, I have to ask you, let's be all shop, and as a customer who requires retail in my life, right? Isn't it true that finally for a retail player, it's all about pricing? If I enter Reliance Retail and the offering is good enough and the pricing is super competitive, I will remain loyal to you and probably wed you. But if I'm finding in some other place the pricing is better, then I will go there. So isn't it a really transactional relationship for you with your clients?
So the transaction relationship and the lure of the transaction relationship, lure of price competitiveness, is table stakes. If you don't do your price right, she won't take you home to meet the mother. I'll stay on the analogy.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but it is over. We always say that the door opens in our store for value, and she comes again for the choice and the experience. So you will see our advertised expression to be value because you're always acquiring. I have to be dating ready, as I mentioned. But you stay with me because you find that everything that you're buying, a lot of it is unique. The manner in which I'm selling is unique. Also, again, like relationships, over a period of time, imperfections are fine. If I show up at the school bus, it's okay if I'm sloppy in the evening. And it happens in retail all the time. I'm selling thousands of items.
Give me an example. What a lovely way of saying it.
Yeah, so meaning you will find that I understood that Ganpati is starting in Mumbai, and I understood that the flowers of prices are going to go up 500 times.
Sure.
And I stayed honest. And you found flowers, fresh flowers in my store 2 days before Ganpati, as if almost on cue. And you were grateful to me for that. You loved me for that. But when you were at your shampoo aisle, you found the pack size that you wanted missing, and that's okay. Or someone misbehaved, some customer misbehaved, and my team didn't look after you enough. But that's fine. It is like all the variables of a real life. That's how it goes. By and large, if I'm all right, I think the relationship continues because while there are no physical barriers, there is a lot of effort that the customer puts in getting to know our stores, getting to be familiar with it. And I'm putting up the stores. My customers knows, Jyoti is the person in charge of the apparel section. And I have to ask Vivek if today's vegetables are fresh or not, and Vivek is honest to tell me. So there's a lot of human thing that is happening inside the store as well. That's how it plays out.
Sure, sure. But for Abhinav and Ravi, the story would be very different, right?
I'll take his own analogy and I will just build it for the bank. I'm just going to go off-handle a little bit here. See, he said it's all about dating as well as marriage. In our case, you do a lot of wooing to get an engagement done, which is the start of the customer relationship. At least one trial happened. Here, there is no trial happening. Customer has started saying, yes, we are engaged now. Now we have to spend a lot more time to make that engagement work so that we can finally have marriage. So the problem for us is easy, no. Very difficult to get a customer to say yes to start the relationship. And when you start the relationship, you started with pure trust that yes, both of us will put our best. And in this case, the bank has to put in the best. And we have to make sure that we continuously do the best for the marriage to happen. So it's all about how do you actually work with the customer and work on the customer experience to make sure that she continues to come back and buy more and more products from you.
Yeah, well, I love DM's analogy of approaching your customer like it should be a long-lasting marriage, but every day should feel like date one, right? I'm going to struggle to link it with our businesses because it's slightly different into the B2B technology. Look, we sell to enterprises versus retail consumers. Inside those enterprises, of course, we sell to people, to C-suite leadership. So when the CEO of a company, when she's choosing TCS and the chief information officer is choosing TCS, given how important technology has become to every sector, right? Whether you're retail, whether you're banking, whether you're telecom, they're in many cases betting the company on this decision. So it's a critical decision for them. So the most important thing we need to build with them is trust at the starting phase. Similar to, I think, what you were just talking to about in the banking sector, we do have a slight advantage then from the retail sector that many of our contracts are long-lasting. Yeah. You have 3 years, 5 years, 10 years contracts. But that doesn't mean that, now I'll use the analogy, that you do good set of first 5 dates, you get engaged, you get married, and then you start behaving sloppily, right? Because then the marriage can end pretty fast, or whenever is the time to end it, it's not going to get you're going to find a divorce happening pretty fast. So you have to keep earning. You have to keep earning the trust. You need to keep working at it. I think for us also, one side is really building a strong brand, reputation, and trust, because that gets us into this consideration, into these rooms to be considered to do business with. But the other element, which we also work a lot with inside our company, is enabling all our colleagues to provide that experience to our customers, because no matter what our marketing team does in terms of great campaigns, great sponsorship, great events, end of the day, the moment of truth for our brand is, what's happening inside our customer premises when our teams who are based inside our customer offices or working in our software development centers all over the world, how do they interact daily with customers, and what do customers feel about us? Is the brand promise being met? Are they getting what they felt was pitched to them?
So in a way, a lot of your people who are deployed in different places across the world are your ambassadors.
They are. Each one is, right? We have 6 lakh people, 600,000 people all over the world. And it's a mobile workforce because we work on projects for clients. So many of them are often sitting inside our clients' headquarters or in their multiple offices across the world, interacting closely with the client, which, as I said, it becomes a challenge from ensuring that there's brand consistency in the experience, but it's also a great advantage because, look, you have a brand ambassador sitting close to your client every day, having lunch with them, working with them across the day. So if you can enable them. So a lot of our internal communications or our engagement with our employees to make sure that they know what's going on in the company, what's new, and therefore they're able to represent it is really important. So we do focus a lot on that.
A question for all three of you, and given the fact that all of you all are large established brands and have a decent market share, sizable market share, how difficult is it for you to increase that share, increase market penetration, and grow the business even more? Because it's much easier for a mid-sized brand to kind of aspire to become bigger than for a large brand to want to kind of become bigger. So what are the challenges that you face as people who are dealing with this day in and day out?
If I have to say, the opportunity that we see are very limitless. So I don't think there is a problem. In banking, the bigger you are, the better it is for you to gain market share. That's how it works, because everywhere you see people around you are banking with HDFC Bank, and if the word of mouth is good, it comes back to you. So for us, bigger the better, whether it is the corporate sector, whether it is the SME sector, whether it is the retail sector. Word of mouth plays a big role in terms of getting us more customers. So the bigger customer base that we have, the bigger ship always will carry much more weightage, and it will catch more fish than smaller boats. So we are the biggest ship. So we don't see a problem. India is a growing country. We see the valuation of India to be at least say $35–40 trillion by 2047 or 2050. And we'll be 10 times our size today. The opportunity for us is what we see. We don't see problems. Opportunity of how to actually get there and what to do.
Ravi, you almost seem like Sadhguru's student.
Seriously, seriously, see the effort that we all have put in compared to say 2010 to 2024. In the 14 years, if you see how Indian economy has grown and how HDFC Bank has grown, you would see the correlation. So it's exact replica of how the economy grows, and the opportunity is, in our view, limitless. It is up to us to go ahead and grab and do the groundwork ready. That's why we are seeing phenomenal expansion in distribution today, where most of the other people are shying away from investment in distribution. The amount of investments that we are doing in distribution, in the last 2 years itself, we have about 2,000 more branches done. And we'll continue to invest in branches because we believe strongly that the opportunity needs to be encashed, and this is a time for investment in distribution, whether it is the digital investment that we are doing or the physical investment that we are doing in terms of infrastructure creation.
But Ravi, don't you think you're saying that the growth is going to happen simply because you are kind of looking at the growth of the country, the population that we have, and the kind of consumption that is going to take place, and so because of that hypothesis, is automatic growth for an established brand like yours?
We will be the best position to leverage on this that's happening.
My question to you, agreed, right? There's no debate on that. I am saying, but as we grow larger as a country, right, you're also seeing the growth not happening at the top end of the pyramid. Your base and your lowest part of the pyramid is expanding and expanding, which is actually not a very good sign, but nobody talks about it because we called anti-national. So the point is, your average customer 10 years ago versus, let's say, your average customer now or 5 years from now, the quality of that consumer has kind of regressed. Would you agree?
I don't think we should see it that way. The expectation of these customers are different. The profitability of these customers are going to be different. What was simple pyramid is now looking like a diamond shape for us.
Okay.
The mass affluent, which is the second rung, and the one rung below that is going to expand furiously in the country.
Sure.
Now, what we look at is the profitability will be different. So how do we actually make sure that we serve these customers? How do we create presence in the places where they are going to be, and how are we going to profitably serve these customers? If it means investing more in digital technology, if it means enabling our employees to be in a much better position to improve their productivity while selling products and services to them, that's the goal that we have, and that's what we work on. And we have no problems if the profitability per customer goes down. What we are looking for is the C to I, the cost to income ratio, that is the investment required. How can we bring it down? And the opportunities, as we say, is limitless.
You'll have to agree that your risk will also go up.
We have enough 30-year history to understand how to manage risk. And as we grow, we'll understand how to manage the risk of the next lot of customers who are coming into the banking system.
What about, what's your opinion in terms of the same kind of, structure?
Yeah, so the larger opportunity obviously is that what you are calling the base, to me, is the future prosperity. Because all ships will rise, and that benefiting from that is a good thing. A nuance that I would like to share, when our 10 and 12-year-old stores are also growing at 15%, it means something else is happening. Every family that we are serving now, beyond the basic income levels, when the next level of income increase happens, the premiumization in their consumption is hockey stick.
But that's, very small set of consumers at the top of the pyramid.
No, that's everybody.
Everybody.
People are just starting at a different points in the ladder.
Yeah, sure, sure.
So what do people do? And you and I treat it as everyday life. When you believe that ghar mein khushhali hai, there is well-being, you start eating more fruits. You start eating more dry fruits. You move your Lux to Dove. And all these things that I described, when you move Lux to Dove, it's called 300% premiumization in consumption. Same family, same bath, same functional need. And this is happening every day in all categories. I sell more big packs of dry fruits today than I sell big packs of atta. So this whole wide-based feeling of well-being and expressions on everyday small things in life is much larger than we think. So selling more to people who have discretionary incomes, and at the same time going to fuller India, going to smaller towns and recruiting people into modern trade. To me, these are twin engines that fire both our business as well as our brand's relationship with the society.
But then are you suggesting that everybody today, at whatever base they are, right, has much more disposable income? Are you suggesting that? Because it's the track records of companies, increments, layoffs generally are disposable income over the last, I would say, 10 years. There is no dramatic difference. Yes, the top are increasing their income, of course. But broadly, if you look at it, the numbers doesn't suggest that. And even consumer confidence, if you're saying that people are willing to buy more dry fruits, than atta, so that means they have so much more prosperity in their lives. So it kind of goes, against the thesis of what is actually happening on ground. People are talking about kothmir prices going up, and so let's eat less kothmir. So I'm very shocked about this dry fruit phenomenon.
So one is a story, other is a fact. The dry fruit part is a fact. Okay. Yes, I have a modern trade lens. So I talk about digital modern trade and physical modern trade. Yes, I go to small towns, but I don't go rural. Yeah. Therefore, that's my frame of reference limitation.
Sure.
And while I call myself, as Reliance Retail, I call myself an inclusive retailer, and I welcome and serve everyone. We all know that people who are truly running their lives on a stretch budget in India don't shop in air-conditioned stores. Yeah. So that is the point of reference. The rest of the premiumization on my platform, and don't ask me, ask any of the consumer goods companies, they will say, oh, premiumization in modern retail is not just intact, but is flourishing.
So at the moment, you're saying premiumization for the consumer it serves is doing very well.
Is doing well.
Much better than mass brands.
Mass brands also are growing because everybody is moving up. Their starting points are different. I'm selling as much more of regular basic oils as I am selling cold pressed specialty oils. So to me, both ends flourish.
All seems hunky-dory. Abhinav, are there any challenges you're facing as leaders in your space, getting more contracts, ensuring?
I mean, they're always challenges, they're always opportunities.
Could you pose some of them?
Yeah, so I'll in a sense echo what Ravi said. I think for the technology sector, we feel that tremendous opportunities for growth in the time ahead, right? For us, in terms of the market frame of things, we are a very global business. We operate in 55 countries across the world. I mean, if you look at the current composition of our business, we make 50% of our revenues at TCS from North America, which is the US and Canada, a third from UK and continental Europe, and the rest from various emerging markets. The emerging markets have been growing quite well for us over the past few years. Yeah. And, so that one of the things is, if there are economic issues in one part of the world, being a global business, you're hedged because there are other parts of the world which are growing. Last year, a large part of our growth also came in from India, which is now growing in importance for us, not just as a base of operations and being home and where we are listed, but also as a market and a place where we are providing a lot of our services, whether it's the corporate world or it's in citizen services. So I think growth is, if you look at market share, I think globally, our market share gets put at about 2.7%, and we are one of the top 3 players in the industry.
Yeah.
Which just shows you it's a very fragmented, very hyper-competitive industry. If you, the question people ask me, who are your competitors? I said, it depends, which sector, which market. There are There are literally 1,000 companies we compete with. So it is fragmented, but in a sense, it also keeps us on our toes because being in a hyper-competitive market means you need to keep earning what you do, right? So there are, if you look at what are the challenges on that part, I think one of the challenges in the long-term thing for this industry has always been the skills part of things, that the need for technology has, and the demand for technology skills has greatly, greatly expanded. And it's been difficult to find quality talent for it in the past. And in niche areas, it's even more so. Like, for example, today in the technology sector, one area which is growing in the importance which businesses put to it is cybersecurity. If you look at cybersecurity, globally, there's a shortfall of 4 million people in terms of skills. Now, of course, we're working with a lot of the universities and campuses and doing our own internal training, which we do, to augment that. But I think technology cycles are moving so fast, and there's so much evolution. You see that with AI. I mean, AI wouldn't be something we'd be talking about in a business panel 2 years ago. Although it's in enterprises, we've been working on AI for a long, long time, over decades. But the consumer interest has been huge, and the evolution is huge. Every month, there are 1,000 new Gen AI tools which are launched. It's very difficult to keep pace with it, and businesses need help with it. So there's constant that. Obviously, as a global business, any changes in
geographical vulnerability,
geographical vulnerability, supply chain issues, other things do that. The advantage we have is that we work with customers in every industry, right? So vertically, we have a broad base, and that also means it helps us at times that if some sector is not doing at a particular point of time, and let's say banks are not spending a lot on technology, there are other sectors, manufacturing and others, which in a sense compensate for it in that sense. So you're always looking to kind of balance that as a global business. I think the opportunity in technologies are huge, right? You talk about it in any sector, how is technology being used to engage better with your customers, gain better insight as a business, perform better, price better, all of those things. It's definitely there. There are also risks which come with technology, right? I think we spoke about the cybersecurity part. In AI, there is, of course, we're looking as the technology evolves, we're also looking at the risk side of it. We did a survey recently of 1,300 business executives across the world in 24 countries on AI. And 82% of them felt that we need more regulation on AI because they feel there are risks which are associated with it. So the guardrails and all of that is something, and doing responsible AI is something which we're really focused on working with our clients and with governments across the world. So it's an exciting sector. I think we get to work with clients in every business, and if you ask an average software programmer in TCS, why do you like working here and why do you stay here? Across their career, they said, we worked in multiple different countries, we work for different clients, we work with some of the most iconic companies, iconic brands. I prefer the word iconic to legacy, since legacy is not a favorite word in this topic, right? So it is an exciting sector. I think long-term growth prospects are there anyways because there will always be something to do in technology. But even in terms of our market share, with 2.7%, we feel there's a lot of space to grow.
Sure.
So, Shonali, if I may build on the whole question you had about how do large brands grow if they're already doing well. And if we look at, our top 75, what they're doing is they're creating new spaces for growth. So I think you had some reference to geographical spaces, but there's also, some of the large packaged good players. They're looking at, instead of categories, they're looking at need states. They're looking at occasions. So, a large player like Coca-Cola will define it as thirst or refreshment, right? And will start measuring their share of throat, as opposed to measuring it against, a Pepsi.
Sure.
So that's what they do. They redefine the category. Or in a market like India, it's also about educating consumers and making them aware of needs they never thought they had. I mean, Colgate is a top riser, right? For example. What they are doing is they made people aware of sensitive teeth, and that's a premium variant they're able to sell. So that's a source of premiumization. Or a lot of Indians don't brush their teeth at night, right? I mean, the Colgate CEO was here recently, and they see that as a key growth opportunity. So I think market building and market development is something that large brands are always looking to do. Or even in finance, I think we look at women. Right? That's a huge sector which is emerging, and any brand that does a better job of targeting and understanding women's banking and all their financial needs will obviously get ahead in that space.
Sure. Trying to understand how much mental and physical availability and maintaining that mental and physical availability as brands is important, and how you go about that.
Digital commerce and physical modern retail. To me, physical modern retail is I'm present in your neighborhood. Even when you're not shopping with me, you're passing me by. So I'm always around. I don't even have to communicate to you in mass media or anything. I am in that sense an infantry kind of a presence. I'm always around for you to notice. When I'm doing digital commerce, that's when, while theoretically I am more accessible, I'm on your smartphone, but mentally to become accessible and to be relevant, I have to work on it. Is the way we look at it. What we find interesting, and this is very early days, what we find interesting is actually when you combine the two, and when the consumer gets to know that the digital all accessible presence is coming from somebody I trust in real world, which is Vijay, the store manager, and Smart Bazaar, the brand that I walk into, then that seems to be a good sweet spots to be going after. That's the way it plays out in our kind of business.
What about you? But you were also physically present, so
I fully echo what he said. At the end of the day, this is an interesting insight. If you go and ask consumers, like you had opened an HDFC bank account, and what made you open the bank account? They said the branch is the closest.
correct.
Okay, there is an opportunity
Proximity.
for me to go. When did you last visit the branch? They start thinking, saying 1 year, 2 year, no. So, as he said, it's also about the physical availability for us is always present. We have more than 9,000 branches now, 20,000 ATMs, so you get to see them. And the trust of the fact that my money is here, if there is a problem, I can come and talk to the branch manager, and they will help us get the problem sorted out. And today we see transactions, 95% of them are digital.
Sure.
95% of the transactions are digital, and now the next opportunity we see is how do we get the origination into digital? People are in the digital world, and can we get the origination started in digital?
What does that mean?
Meaning sale of a credit card, sale of a personal loan in the digital, fully digital.
Got it.
And we are seeing tremendous success there, because when we have started making sure it is available, people are willing to go ahead and take it digitally, end to end, with a clear understanding that if there is an issue, here is a branch which is helping me solve the problem.
Isn't that paradoxical? Because you're right. I don't remember the last time I visited a branch, right? So is it a psychological need for consumers still to have that proximity of a branch? And
When it comes to financial institutions, even it is a big surprise to me when I landed in this category, saying that if you're not going into a branch, why are you looking at a branch? Consumer seems to have a feeling that this is my branch. There is an opportunity for me to go and have a conversation with somebody. At the end of the day, it is our hard-earned money which they given to the bank. So it is for them extremely comfortable to have a person with whom they know, the branch, the place they know, that here I can go and get this sorted out. While they don't come.
Is that why you're increasing your presence?
Exactly. Because for a
Because
liability
logically
business,
it's not required.
for a liability business, we see the more the number of physical presence at the ground, higher is the ability to take the share. And today, if you can see our deposit market share, we punch above our weight, and we are very confident that you need this relationship, the empathy quotient, that in case of an issue, we are there to help. And when it comes to money, when it comes to trust, it works very well.
Is this the same model that international markets or advanced markets follow?
Exactly. If you go ahead and see in the US also, even whatever has been said by the top banks in the US, JP Morgan has said they are going to increase their branch presence. Most of the other people are also doing the same thing, because when it comes to money, I think the trust factor that people are looking for is far higher than anything else.
Basically, it's also now a marketing effort,
Exactly.
right? Yours will be very different, because for the mental and physical availability compared to both of theirs would be...
So this may sound odd coming from a very digital business, but both are important to us, the physical realm and the digital world, right? If you look at a B2B tech buyer, if it's a new customer which we are acquiring, they make about 70% of the decision to go with us is made before we have the first conversation with them, right? So there are about 16 or 17 different touch points which a new customer comes across. And they're a mix of things. It could be they've, gone and read a nice white paper on our website. It could be they've gone to an event and they've seen, TCS is present there and they spoke to somebody. It could be one of our existing customers who's happy with us, happens to be in their network and said, these guys do a fantastic job, look at them. Multiple things. Like I said, the mix of digital, the mix of physical. But once you establish contact, it's really is about building trust. It is obviously showcasing the capability and the solution we can build for that customer. But it's in building that trust that, most of our bids are competitive situations. There are 3 or 5 companies which are called in to competitive bids. So end of the day, the differentiation is through 2 or 3 things. One is, of course, through are you able to give a better solution to the specific need of that customer? And the second element is that who do you trust more, right? And at the end of the day, if I feel, okay, all 3 of these companies can build my particular piece of application or help me migrate to the cloud, who do I want to work with on a day-to-day basis? Who do I trust more? Who will be there for me when the chips are down? And building that trust involves a lot of meetings, a lot of physical contact, and all of those things. And that's, I think, really, really vital in our industry too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, what we also see is the brands that do well strike the right balance between physical and mental availability. So you create demand, and then you're just there at the right time, right price point to able to convert it to, a sale. So these two go hand in hand, and that's what leads to the best outcomes.
I have a last macro question before I want to go into a quick truth or myth kind of, fast-paced, rapid POVs. A lot has been talked about data mining and targeting. It's been happening for a long time. Big size data, bite size data, all of that, and this whole great targeting, personalization at scale, these lovely words that I've been hearing for a long time. Is it as efficient as we've envisaged?
Extremely efficient as we envisaged.
I've not heard you say one negative thing, Ravi.
Because of the fact that we are endowed with first-party data.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the kind of first-party data that a bank has is phenomenal. Right from your demographics, your customer details, where you earn your money from, where you're spending your money. And if we come back and tell you sometimes how much we know about you, you'll get very shocked.
Yeah. I'm not debating that. My point is, how do you use that information?
Exactly. That is where the targeting comes into place in terms of identifying your need. Is very, very easy for us because of the first-party data. We don't have to depend on third parties to come and try and get to know about whether you are in the mood to go ahead and buy something today, tomorrow, and on. Because we see your transactions for the last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. With that, the ability to personalize, if you don't personalize, I think it's a crime in banking. Because so much, and today, for example, even the trust that we talk about, in my view, the trust definition has changed. Table stake for us is the trust of keeping the money safe.
Yeah.
Now today the trust is, you know so much about me, and when you're having a conversation with me, be relevant. If you're not going to have a conversation with this relevant, I don't have any trust. It's like human beings. If I see you for the first time, I get to know a little bit about you, and after 3 days when we meet again, if I'm going to feel ignorance about knowing you, how will the trust develop?
You think that's happening? These nuanced conversations are happening?
This is the attempt. We'll be there. Yes, we are there to a substantial extent. We'll keep improving as technology helps us improve it in terms of the ability to quickly do it in real time. Today, in our view, we personalize 90% of the visits to our website. Because at the end of the day, when you log in, we come to know who you are. What is it that you have done with the bank till yesterday, till last minute, we come to know. How quickly you can turn this data around to find out what is relevant for you and bring it up in front of the customer, whether it is an inbound or whether it is an outbound. Today, the entire sales system of HDFC Bank works on what is given as the next best action prediction from our side using the data analytics. So this is not something which is a misnomer. It can be used effectively. You need to have the basics and the foundations in place. I have an 80-member data science team working with me in marketing. That's the kind of investments we have done to make sure that we are in a position to deliver as per our customers' expectations.
You are in agreement, Damodar?
The consumption data and the first party data is of extreme value. How it gets used right now, significantly more for insights. I'll make it very, very real for you. If I know the number of packs you're buying of a particular item, I can work with the brand to say launch a larger pack.
Yes.
Yeah, up the value game, of course, increase consumption, use of the information to improve offering in a predictive manner is how it gets deployed and used all the time. We work with brands, we work with our brand partners and tell them how their brands are doing and where the source of gain and source of loss is. It makes everybody more intelligent to do their part of the work. Working with the consumers, personalizing, it's an area of aspiration. Yeah. Also, I would say, this is fine tuning. This is the last 4-5% of growth. But when your year-on-year growth is 25 and 30%, you're doing big hitting right now, getting the main things right.
True.
So that's the way I would look at it. So we have a bunch of smart people working on it, deploying it all the time and playing with it. Is it moving the business needle in terms of consumer behavior or the business impact right now? I would say
sure.
So.
Yeah, because the number of calls I get on my phone today, or ask anybody, the number of spam calls we're getting from builders, from loan providers, including my own bank, I won't name them. Credit card holders, I'm holding their credit card, they're calling me, ma'am, do you need a credit card? So it's absolutely cold calling to the core. So this nuanced insights that you're talking about has yet to hit me as a customer.
You're a wealthy customer then, if you're getting so many calls.
Ask anybody. Anybody has a random call. They get a number, they're at it. Anyway, going to a quick. I'm including you in this. Truth or myth. So feel free to give us candid responses. It's a fast-paced thing, so we wanted to be very quick.
Got it.
I'll start with you, Abhinav.
Sure.
Differentiating a brand is a vital marketing task.
100%. And especially, as I said, for us in a very competitive industry, the brand makes such a difference. So, your ability to stand out and be in the consideration set. So when a customer wants to, like I said, do a cloud migration, which are the top 3-4 companies they think about and call to the table is really important. And so differentiating ourselves from the rest of the crowd is critical.
What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, we saw the brands that differentiated just in the top Indian brands. They grew their value 4% faster than others. So compared to average growth of 19, they were at 23. The second important thing with difference is that it enables you to build a forward momentum and charge a premium. So that's the other thing we find. So the drop down to margins is very high when you're high on difference.
Ravi?
Product differentiation, in the long run, it gets equalized. Maybe you have a lead of 1 or 2 years, but if you continuously differentiate on the product, you get an image differentiation, which is extremely important. I think service differentiation is a must, and that cannot be equalized so easy. So for me, service differentiation has a lot more value than product differentiation.
So basically what you're trying to say, it's distinctiveness versus differentiation.
A distinctiveness is a slightly different concept altogether, but in my view, service differentiation cannot be easily managed. It requires a lot of work right from the front line to everybody in the ecosystem believing that we are here to provide a better service. How is that attitude, how is that habit formed in the front line? It's not something very easy to replicate. Product, anybody can copy in the next 1 year.
So I would say differentiating the brand is not a marketing task. It's a business task, and it's for every part of the business to build that edge. Marketing can provide articulation. Marketing can provide a lighthouse kind of a guidance to which way to go and why to differentiate. But I think all functions have to buy into the way we are building and add to it. So it's a all functions task and not a marketing task.
So it's a myth. Okay,
Whatever.
next one. So next one, loyalty metrics reflects the strength, not size of a brand.
Well, I said that I want to be loyalty ready. I want to be marriage material, but I want to be practicing dating all the time. So I think for a business like ours, loyalty is overrated. Wooing and acquiring customers is the cutting edge of why we are successful, and why even our loyal customers like it. If I'm good with strangers, I'll be good with people I know.
Okay, Ravi.
See, loyal customers give us more value, obviously, and we see more business if we serve you properly over a long period of time. And obviously, we need to continue to keep acquiring new customers.
Guys,
There's no difference.
the line is, loyalty metrics reflects the strength, not size of a brand.
Yeah, strength. I agree.
Yeah, strength. Okay. Same.
Size makes a huge difference because large brands always automatically get a slightly higher share of, just regular routine buying behavior. So that's what the data says.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with since you want the contrarian answer, I'll go with the myth on this one.
Okay.
Right? Because if you have brand loyalty, right, and on the basis on which you build brand strength, unless you take a conscious decision to do so, you have every opportunity to size and scale as a business, right? The challenge always is that when you scale, can you keep that original spirit and DNA of your business and the loyalty you generated with the customers? Great brands do it. Doesn't matter if they were, if there was a 10 branch bank or a 2,000 branch bank or a 20,000 branch bank, you provide that differentiation in services, which Ravi was saying. So yes, I think the size will come if it's unless you decide, I just don't want to grow. I just want to have one shop and that's it.
Sure.
I mean, the thing is, large brands...
This is a rapid fire, Rana. This is not meant to
brand
be...
strength can make large brands command even higher growth.
Yeah.
So, yes, large brands have an advantage, but the moment you have...
You're not going to do very well on Karan Johar's show. Okay, starting with you. Customer retention is cheaper than acquisition. Truth or myth?
I think always the truth, right? As you said, the average thing in marketing is that it takes you 6 times as much effort or cost to acquire a new customer than an existing one. For us as a business, we make 97-98% of our revenues from our existing customers. And like I said, we have long-term relationships. There's several clients over the last 2-3 years, we celebrated 30 years, 25 years, 20-year relationships. So absolutely, I think.
Rana?
Absolutely. We see it in our own business. I'm not even going to marketing basics. Yes.
Okay. Customer retention cheaper than acquisition?
Extremely true, because 85% of the sales of our revenue earning products goes to our customers today.
Okay, okay.
Selling more to current customers is the juiciest thing to do. It requires little incremental effort on part of the customers or us. And in our kind of business, the upsides are high. But I maintain the philosophy that if you are good at acquiring customers, you will automatically be good at retaining them.
Oh, you're saying they are same skill sets?
Same skill sets.
Okay. Price promotion boosts penetration, not loyalty.
Price promotion is a thing when acquisition happens higher than retention. But your retained customers love price promotions. It's the zing part of the relationship when you also have these celebrations which are price and promotions led. But yeah, the primary purpose for the business is to get the fence sitters to come in and shop with you.
Price promotion boosts penetration.
We don't do price promotion in
That's true. That's why it's so irrelevant to you. Not for you either.
Look, I think on the pricing side, sure, you can gain certain short-term market share and all, or penetration, and that could be a strategy a business takes. But
it's not
long term, it's not a
philosophical statement. Right. It's just a myth or a truth. I'll repeat.
Yes.
Price promotions boost penetration, not loyalty.
All right, let's go with truth. Yes.
True.
Price.
Okay.
If you're trying to build loyalty on price, good luck to you in the long term.
Okay. Who a brand competes with depends on the positioning of the brand's image.
True.
True?
True.
Who
you compete with, depends on what your customers perceive you to be, right? You may have a different idea of your competition, but it's the choices which your consumer makes. So your reputation, your image, and your positioning is vital in them selecting you or selecting the next best alternative. So
sure.
Absolutely true.
Rana?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why you segment markets, but you can create surprises.
Absolutely true. Sometimes when I look at the numbers, we create at least 3 or 4 smaller banks every year inside the bank. And they're all giving at, say, maybe at 8%, 7% interest rates. We don't offer that kind of an interest rate. And it depends on who you are and what consumers see as who you are.
Segmentation is the nature of the market, and I think it happens whether you like it or not. People perceive you as different. It's good to know it and then stick to it and then choose your competitors as a result of that positioning.
Mass marketing is no longer competitive.
I don't know. I don't know whether I mass market or not. My customer doesn't know that I run, as Reliance Retail, I run 20,000 stores. I'm one store at a time. One store fails the customer. So philosophically, I'm never mass marketing.
Ravi?
It's not a myth. I think still it has a lot of value because for our incremental acquisition of new customers, it does help in terms of doing mass marketing.
Sure.
Yeah, for large packaged goods, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do
Yeah,
mass
you all don't
marketing.
need to
We're
do
very
it.
targeted and work with business executives. But on a principle itself, I'd say there is definitely value in mass marketing for many, many businesses.
True or false? Buyers have a special reason to buy a brand.
Could we go with depends? Because it depends on the industry
No,
and the
no,
consumer.
no, don't sit on
But
the
okay, let's
fence.
go with truth then.
Truth.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You?
Yeah, there's routine buying behavior.
No. Again, you're going into explanation.
So the role of a brand is to reduce friction,
Yeah.
right, and make it an automatic choice. So, no, the consumer will not make an effort every time to rethink it, right? So the brand creates a shortcut, and hence every purchase is not a conscious choice.
You're the most knowledgeable about this.
We are in the business of flirting. We want people to always question their brand choices. We increase friction in shopping. I'm in the business of making her consider more and more and therefore buy more.
The consumer of a particular brand are a distinctive type of person. The consumers of
Consumer and brand relationship, and now I'm saying with the complete retailer this thing, having been a brand person myself, the consumer brand relationship, its permanence and its depth is completely overrated.
Absolutely, somebody said it. I was waiting for it.
That's the single change that happened to me moving from Unilever to retail. I discovered the entire construct that I had of the market just collapsed.
You came into a service industry, figured that out. So yes, true.
True.
I mean, at least aspirationally, yes. Maybe in reality, no.
But why talk reality, Rana?
Because all kinds of people buy all kinds of brands.
Consumers of a particular brand are a distinctive type of person.
I'd go with false. I think, especially in our business, they're very, very different consumers. They come to you for different reasons. They come from different things. So very different segments.
Okay, last.
Yeah.
The heaviest 20% of a brand's customers delivers at least 80% of its sales.
I think the Pareto principle will apply for most things in life. It does, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
True.
True?
True, may not be 20-80,
Yeah.
maybe 30-70.
Okay.
True but non-actionable. It's a fact of life.
Yeah.
It's normal distribution. What is actionable is, how do your light users become heavy users? That's where work happens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a tautology.
Fair enough. On that note, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for pearls of insights that we've got. And hopefully all aspiring marketers who want to, gain your positions in not just the rankings, but also in the marketplace, have listened to this conversation very carefully. Thank you so much for your time and all the very best for next year's rankings.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely being here.